Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we are here today to put another entry in my Battlefield 1 Player's Guide. Today we're going to answer one big question. What class should I play? More specifically, what class is going to help my squad and team the most? This is an outstanding question that at the end of the day has multiple answers depending on a variety of factors. Now, rather than get all complex and boring, I'm going to share with you my personal guidelines and parameters when it comes to selecting a class to support my team or squad. I want you guys to really keep in mind though, this is how I personally make this decision. Consider a guide and feel free to modify and adjust to suit your individual playstyles and tactics as you grow as a player on the battlefield. Let me start by giving you a basic scenario. I'm playing as an attacker on the St. Quentin Scar map during the Kaiser operation, and I am currently running the Assault class. I've decided to run the Assault after realizing that my squad had no anti-armor capabilities and fully knowing that we would encounter enemy armor on our attack while making our push in this specific sector. This is the basic idea I use when selecting a class after first joining a game. What roles are currently being filled in my squad, and what roles could my team use during this current portion of the encounter? Also keep in mind that you can also be really selective on which squad you join depending on which class you might want to play at any given time. Maybe find a squad that desperately needs a support if you're really looking to play the support. There's always room to do what you want to do if you just look outside the lines a little bit. For example, if you want to snipe, maybe don't join the squad that has 3 snipers, instead join the squad that has no snipers whatsoever, and you can then lend them a hand as an actual scout out on the battlefield. Now, I generally avoid overstacking any one role. For example, if my squad has 2 to 3 medics, I see no reason to add another to the fray, especially when we could use the firepower and, more importantly, ammunition provided by the support role. You see this happen a lot. 2-3 medics in a squad, you've got an assault, maybe another assault, and then you're constantly running out of ammunition when trying to engage in really long-term firefights. This is where the support comes into play. Now, at one point during our push to capture the final 2 points in the final sector, I realized that we were no longer dealing with enemy armor. They simply weren't bringing it into the fray, and instead we were struggling to make our final push due to an influx of enemy scouts on the field. This was becoming a serious issue. After a quick look at my squad and team roster, I realized that for the first time in a very long time, we were somewhat lacking in the scout role. So I grabbed my scope rifle and headed out on the battlefield to support my team while they made their push, with the primary objective in my mind to eliminate other scouts on the battlefield to stop my team's progress from being impeded. Eventually, I would end up swapping to the medic role as we were closing in on the objectives, and I wanted to increase our team's sustain and survivability as we closed in to grab the final point, and we needed to hold our ground against incoming enemy reinforcements. This is an area where the medic really excels. Often in Battlefield, your team is going to need every player available pushing a point to completely clear out the enemy presence and make a capture. If a player is stuck respawning and wasting valuable time running back to the point, this greatly increases the difficulty and the chance of making a successful capture. The medic can keep these players alive longer, it can keep you alive longer, and it allows you to revive those who have fallen, getting them back in the fight sooner. Numbers and firepower and just, that overwhelming element of the odds is a big part of making successful pushes, especially in a big elaborate game mode like Operations. Now, as we just mentioned with the medic, each class has its own strengths on the battlefield. So please, consider the following when making a class selection. Let's start with the Assault. Essential for eliminating enemy armor, and also great at sweeping objectives with speed and great close quarters capabilities via a selection of SMGs and shotguns. The Support. Your primary suppression tool, putting the enemy under pressure, giving your team more time to react and engage. Also, as we mentioned earlier, your only source of resupply. A squad that runs out of ammunition is dead in the water. Every squad should have at least one support, especially when dealing with objective-based game modes where long firefights are a constant possibility. By the way, that's just about every game mode in Battlefield, so put a support in your squad. The Scout. A powerful tool in the hands of the right player, not only capable of supporting a team via long-range kills, but also with valuable battlefield intel. The spotting scope and the spotting flare can give your team a incredible boost to situational awareness that can be necessary to capturing or defending any objective in pretty much any mode in Battlefield 1. Should be mentioned that the Scout can be especially powerful when the fog rolls in and you're dealing with really low visibility. This is going to allow your team to have that additional situational awareness on the mini-map since they can't have it actually out in the battlefield. Last and definitely not least, the medic that we talked about earlier. Increasing the survivability of any soldier operating in the same AO, a game changer when it comes to keeping players in the fight to make that final push or hold the line one last time. Keep this in mind when deploying on the battlefield, and I guarantee you, win or lose, you can at least have peace of mind knowing you supported your team where it mattered most. This is a guide, as I mentioned at the start, everyone. It is just that. It is 100% a guideline. It's a guidebook, and you should follow it as such. Do not follow it 100% to the T. You don't need to simulate everything I've said here in every given situation. There are so many other variables. There are so many other situations that you're going to encounter and have to deal with. As you grow as a player, you're going to start to develop your own ways of building theories, your own ways of theory crafting, and then executing those theories to come up with concepts and ideas and eventually tactics that you utilize on the battlefield. That's the great element of playing a game like this. It's that learning process that eventually leads to you having your own set of parameters and guidelines to help you deal with every single situation that you run into. If you guys have any other questions for me, any other thoughts or concerns, feel free to throw them down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the battlefield for intense, large player number firefights to happen. It's the best parts of Conquest and Rush fused into one. You have that same consistent attack and defend environment where one team is always looking to push an objective while the other team is always looking to defend it, but you have that larger scale map play element of Conquest. We all know that Battlefield is at its best when you're in those really intense, wonderful firefights. That's where I love